Hello and welcome to Learn C++ in an easy way. In the first part of this video, using do while, we want to calculate sum of integers from 1 till n. So let us start with taking integer n because we want the user enter integer n. So we ask the user enter integer n, then next line. Now we take it using scene, see the video in the caption, and how is sum of elements. So 1 plus 2 plus blah 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 and minus 1 and finally n, right? So we want to use do while and do something while something, and it is clear how it should be because the process. So while I is less or equal to n, so I need to define also I to be integer starting from 1. So till I is less than n, less or equal to n, continue adding I to my sum, which is defined as an integer, and then in each step add 1 to I, and we are done. For example, when n is equal to 3, I is equal to 1, then sum is equal to 0 from the beginning. So what it does, it add at first 1 to our sum, which is 0. So the sum at first is 1. Then we add 1 to our I is equal to 2, then still the condition is true, so it goes and to do part again and do this, right? So add 2 now to a previous sum, which is 1, so the sum would be 3, and then I would be equal to 3. Again the condition holds, so come back to the do part, and then our sum is equal to the last sum, which is 3 plus our I, which is 3. So the sum is 6. I would be then 4. So now the while part doesn't hold, so the process ends. At the end, we have sum of all integers less or equal to 3, right? Perfect. Now we just need to print sum, right? So here we add that, okay, see out sum of integers from 1 till our n. For example, we write n out of this one is equal to sum. Then we are done. We just run it to see how it works. When n is equal to 3, the sum is 6. And also when n equal is 56, the sum become larger and it's really big. Now we go to the second project. We are going to calculate multiplication of elements from 1 till n. So we have this that enter an integer n bigger or equal to 1. Now we want to take it, right? So we just need to define int n, and we take it using scene. Now we want to use do while to calculate the multiplication of numbers from 1 till n. So how does it work? That means in factorial it works like this 1 times 2 times blah 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 till end. So this is very similar to the sum of elements. So I have integer I and I define it here starting from 1 and yeah, also I define, for example, result to be equal to 1 here, similar to the previous case that we had sum. We have here result, and result starts from 1, and then in each step result is multiplied by itself and I, right? So and continue this till I is less or equal to n, right? So then at the end we print the final result as n factorial, right? So here we write n factorial is equal to result. Done. So this is our code, and now just we run it, right? So for example, I enter n equal to 3 factorial is equal to 6, which is true. And then we have, for example, another example, 100. And surprisingly, we have 100 factorial equal to 0. This is because overflowing, right? See the video in the caption. And we shouldn't use integer for res, yeah, for the result, because when the integers are big, then we get to this unexpected part. So what we should do is actually changing the res to from integer to double, yeah. So I took result from here and I define it as a double here, yeah. Then we are done and it is fixed. Now we expect when we run it and we give big numbers, for example 100, then we don't have any problem.